He is Eric, and the woman next to him is his sister Mandy. They are on their way to the movies. A female prisoner named Doc will be transferred to court today. Doc is a former private soldier who violated the rules on charges of massacring civilians. On the other hand, these people are gathered and are planning something big.
I can drive your truck.
I don't know, can?
Fuck yeah.
On the way, Maddie was a little annoyed because she had been overtaken by a car that was driving in a hurry. Eric calmed her down. When they were about to cross the Tobin Bridge, the traffic jam occurred because there was a car that deliberately blocked both lanes in front and behind. The captive car, which turned out to be involved in the traffic jam on the bridge, panicked a little. Meanwhile, Eric, who were at the back, felt that there was something strange about someone who seemed to be taking cover from something. Fortunately, Eric was alert to this. Due to the magnitude of the explosion, the bridge was now broken, leaving no path for them to escape. Confused by what was happening, everyone got out of the car, while Eric immediately called 911 and asked for the SWAT team to be sent out. The terrorists were now starting to spread their threats. The leader of the terrorists was called Romeo. He told everyone that now they were all hostages, told everyone to get back into their cars, and if they refused, they would be killed. These terrorists are ex-military who are highly trained. Eric, who saw all this chaos, actually remembered the trauma of his previous battle as an army raider. Fortunately, his younger brother Matty woke him up. With their drones, they managed to find their target, namely a police prisoner's car. The terrorists attacked it using spray gas. Because of this, the police inside caught fire, and their goal was to take the keys. With his loudspeaker, Romeo, the terrorist leader, told them all not to do anything, and also to get into his vehicle. In this situation, it turned out that there were two police officers. They tried to fight back, but were thwarted by the terrorist sniper. The SWAT team quickly went to the location where the hostage was taken, and news of the hostage situation immediately went viral. Not wanting anyone to try to be a hero, the terrorists tied Sandra's hands to the steering wheel of the car and took all their cell phones. Eric quickly called his mother before his cell phone was taken. He said good. After that, Eric handed over his cell phone, and one of the terrorists asked where his sister's cell phone was. Eric also said that they were practicing driving, so he put his cell phone at home, and the terrorists tied their hands together. Eric was honest with his younger brother that when he was in the army, his hand was broken, so he easily untied it. With his abilities as an elite American Army Ranger, Eric managed to defeat one terrorist. Even though he had to remember his war trauma, Eric took all his equipment and disguised himself as one of the terrorists. Meanwhile, Doc and one of the policemen were surrendered without a fight and instead sided with the terrorists. The police also met Romeo, the terrorist leader. He had one task for the police. Doc didn't stay silent. He managed to take the key so he could escape. Eric untied Maddie's hands and promised to come back. Eric listened to all the terrorist leaders' instructions on the radio he had just taken. Now elite troops from the police and SWAT are already at the location. The police officer also called the head of the terrorists. They negotiated. Romeo explained that Doc had spread fake news. Because of this, Romeo holding people hostage here until their friends who are in prison are released is his demand. Shot an RPG which indicated they were serious. Romeo said that they would live stream on the black web and said that if their wish was not granted by 9 p.m. they would do it, with a small bonus of killing the police on the live stream. Eric took the cell phone of one of the dead motorbikes and tried to call his sister Maddie to ask how she was doing. This hostage taking went viral on the website, with more than 10 million viewers watching the live hostage taking. Eric, in his disguise, approached the target quietly and succeeded in paralyzing one terrorist. Eric offers to collaborate with Doc because Eric knows that Doc is the only person they are after. Eric started planning an attack by turning on the horn to distract the terrorists, but instead he shot their colleague who was walking. The situation is now escalating where their leader Romeo is informed that there is someone who is trying to become a hero and is impersonating their member. Eric returns and intends to move him to a safer place because now he is known to be eavesdropping and listening to all conversations via radio. Romeo ordered one of his men to check on Doc, but Doc managed to make one of the terrorists angry and Doc succeeded in overthrowing him. Eric looked for a safe place and asked other drivers to hide his sister, but no one dared to help him. Eric managed to shoot the terrorist's steel mask, which made him bounce. Eric's bullet was empty, so he had to use his bare hands. Doc's escape was discovered by the sniper because Doc was their target, so Romeo asked his men to catch Doc alive, almost having time to scan it. Luckily, Eric managed to damage the drone, which made Romeo annoyed. With his military skills, Doc succeeded in overthrowing the sniper. Eric, using the motorbike he found, intended to jump over the bridge at full speed, managed to pass several terrorists. However, Romeo detonated a bomb which he had planted on the bridge. Eric and Maddie were declared missing, but the truth is that they are still alive and survived the attack just now. Eric was shocked because all the bridges had been bombed by these terrorists. Eric, who didn't want to take risks, initially only wanted to save Maddie, his younger sister, but Maddie insisted that Eric's older brother wanted to help everyone who was being held hostage upstairs, so they went back upstairs. Luckily, there is a man who is willing to protect Maddie while Eric will try to defeat all the terrorists. Ozzy said that he should come to his young daughter's birthday. Because of that, Ozzy hopes that Eric will be safe. Dan gave him his cell phone so Eric could contact Maddie. Doc, with his gun, managed to defeat one of the terrorists. A shootout ensued, annoyed because the target had not been caught. Romeo came down and decided to catch Doc with his own hands. Meanwhile, Eric was greeted by a grandfather named Kozik, who apparently was a military veteran. Eric also told him that under the bridge there were a series of time bombs. Because of this, Kozik offered his tow truck with a rope that he could use so that Eric could climb down under the bridge and deactivate the bomb. Doc fought fiercely, but he was not Romeo's opponent, so Doc was caught. He was taken to Romeo's van and explained all their plans. While Eric had now gone down towards the bridge, Romeo explained that the DOC had to admit that he had spread fake news related to their military members in front of the live streaming, which many people had now watched. While Eric was defusing the bomb, apparently Kozik had a visitor who asked about the cable hooked under the bridge. The terrorists knew that Kozik was a veteran. When he was careless, Kozik stabbed the terrorist in the buttocks and dueled with him, but it seemed that Kozik was old and had to lose. On the other hand, Mehdi is now known by the other members and Maddie is caught, while Eric is still not finished with the explosives business. Using a loudspeaker, Mehdi was forced to call her brother. In 100 seconds, if Eric doesn't appear, Romeo will shoot Maddie. Eric rushed and ran. He was on time. Now Eric, Mehdi, and Doc are being held captive. Doc is forced to read a letter which states that Romeo and his friends are not war criminals, but they are being slandered by Doc and being exploited by the Pentagon. When the Doc was about to be executed, Eric asked for time to convey several things, which he used to buy time. It turned out that Eric had modified the car so that it could explode. Because of this, all the terrorists checked him. When Romeo was careless, Eric then beat him up. There was a one-on-one fight that Eric won. Eric hid in the van and waited, let his guard down. In his cunning way, Romeo asked his friend for help, but Eric already knew and a gun exchange ensued. Doc was shot by a terrorist, but fortunately Ozzy managed to paralyze him. Now Eric is being tortured, make him despair, and threatens him to blow up this bridge. But Eric also doesn't know that Romeo has a bomb in his car with a lighter in his hand, which he explodes if Romeo releases his grip. Romeo wanted Doc. Because of that, Eric complied. The team to pick up the terrorists arrived, apparently wanted to escape using a ship. Doc insisted that Romeo stop this. Eric failed to surprise Romeo. Romeo went down using a rope. Eric didn't run out of ideas. He set off the van containing explosives and crashed it into the sea.